Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another segment of Weather Plus by Billie. Today's date, November 19, 2022. This is a new YouTube channel for me. I have a subscribe button in the lower right corner of my screen. Thanks for like, subscribe, and share to YouTube and Rumble. So some of the things we'll be covering: winter, freeze, tanks to the Texas southern border. And what about earthquakes going off in Hawaii and Texas? And the Federal Reserve, does it equal Skynet? Does it want to take all of our money? Oh, absolutely, they do. Some of the sources are God in the Bible, Patriot Subscriber, Dr. William Mount, Gene Decode, Paul Begley, Mike from Around the World, the Texas Tribune, the KVEO Brownsville News, Army Times, Dutchsinse, W77 Wages of the World, Steve Quailside, Hal Turner, David Nino Rodriguez, JWTV, Suspicious Observers, Mary Greeley, ETN News, BPEarthwatch. So let's get started. Now, for our upcoming weather that's going to be taking place in November, Thanksgiving, and the week or so after Thanksgiving, here's the U.S. So we've still got that cold and blizzard and snow going on in the Great Lakes area. Oh, yeah, I need to add to my sources Ryan Hall, y'all. Yeah, he does a good job. Okay, New York, it is 5 to 6 feet of snow. And according to also direct weather, it's going to be coming again last week in November, likely to see another 5 to 6 feet of snow in the Great Lakes, New York, Texas, after just rainy and cold until Thanksgiving. The last week in November, all the way down to Texas, is when we could have some ice and snow. So we just need to keep that in mind with our plans and preparations. Okay, so we have this. Dr. William Mount is bringing out in Ukraine. We still have 2 rogue nukes. These were the small baseball-sized nukes that the FBI took to Warsaw, Poland in the summer, and then they were picked up by trucks from Kiev. And then most of them, there were 24 of these, but most of them had been found, and Russia was buying them back at $2 million per nuke baseball. But Dr. Mount says there's still 2 that are rogue in play in Ukraine, and that Hal Turner is reporting there was an explosion inside Russia that was at St. Petersburg, near it, that was Nord Stream gas processing. We recall the pipeline from Russia to Germany. That was the N1, N2 Nord Stream pipeline was blown up about a month or so ago by the shadow NATO, orchestrated by the shadow British Special Forces and U.S. shadow groups. Okay, so that happened on 11/19 this morning, and there were no injuries reported, and the fire is under control. So that's going on. Now, we have this, the Federal Reserve. So we have this information coming out from Steve Quill site, vendor End of the American Dream, and Dr. William Mount. The Federal Reserve, and we recall in 1115, and said Washington, D.C., there was a shootout between the Federal Reserve and the Marines. Shootout. Now, we're finding this out on 1119 that the Federal Reserve, including Wells Fargo, HSBC, Citicorp, wants to do a simulated data experiment in New York where they have programmable dollars, meaning they take away all of your currency and it's all digital. They're just experimenting with it. Don't kid yourself. Now let's review. About a year ago in Kazakhstan, the deep state federal banking system said to the people, no more currency for you, it's all digital. Within 24 hours, the people, in full revolt, had burned down the banks, burned down the houses of the bankers, and dragged the bankers out into the streets and hung them. So yeah, people, a characteristic of a free people, in my opinion, is that they have currency flowing freely through their society. They have their money in their hand, whether it's currency or gold or silver. It is not controlled by deep state federal government with programmable, only digital currency. That's like Skynet. We see you, we control you, and we can cut off your money anytime we want to. A digital currency banking system is unacceptable to a people who cherish freedom, and that certainly characterizes the American citizen patriots. So no, we say no to digital currency. Okay, and let's recall, we do have 100 million patriot citizens organized in militias. We are ready because we don't trust our government. All right, now let's get to this. Texas. We have a situation on the southern border. Now more and more sources are coming out, and I've heard these sources for several years. And I'm beginning to believe that it's a possibility there are 50,000 Chinese troops on the border. I think they would have to be underground like they were in Canada a few years ago. And the U.S. military, the greatest military in the history of the world, I believe, took out in December of 2020 one group that was about 50,000 and another group 25,000. These were Chinese troops. They were in underground bunkers. So it may be that these Chinese are in underground bunkers also. Something's happening. So Governor Abbott a few days ago, under the invasion clause of both the U.S. and Texas Constitution, sent the National Guard, the State Guard. Texas used to be its own nation. We have our own State Guard. And they sent gunboats and other things. Now they're sending what are called small tanks because they run on tracks instead of wheels. And they can launch different types of weapons, heavy machine gun, grenade launchers, anti-tank missiles, and large cannons. And so this is to repel illegal crossing across the South Texas border. Now we know that David Nino Rodriguez, for about a month, has been making statements that he gets reports from that El Paso, there are soldiers crossing over. Now, we've had reports from, for about 6 weeks, at least I recall, from Judy Byington and Hal Turner, that, and MonkeyWorks, that 10% of the immigrants crossing over were trained by the shadow CIA in Central America. So 10% of millions crossing over in the last 2 years. And we know that Monkey continues to say from Biggs military air force are going out small planes, taking military police, our contractors all over the United States. And we have references coming up about Jade Helm. That's a U.S. military operation to lock down American citizens. Now, I suggest that the military is going to implement that. They need to come out and explain to the American people why that would be so. Because let's recall, we are organized, and we're certainly able, and we are strongly motivated to protect our land and our families and our children. So, yeah, if the U.S. military is going to do that, they need to be speaking to the American people. Okay, this is called Operation Lone Star by the Texas Military Department. Okay, now we have this. We have BP Earthwatch, and here's the U.S. So we have BP, Dutchsinse, Wages of the World, Mary Greeley, ETN News. Okay, coming out. Here's the U.S. We have Hawaii over here. Now, ETN News has been doing a good job of talking about the Helena slump. That's an area on the Big Island in Hawaii, and it's had a swarm of earthquakes in the past few weeks that would activate the large volcano on Hawaii. So that's being watched. Now, we had in Texas a few days ago, in Mentone, Texas, we had a 5.4 earthquake. That's the third largest in the history of our records, Texas records. Now, BPEarthwatch and other sources are bringing out the movement of the craton above, or it would be below. So here is like the North American tectonic plate. We have the Costco's plate down here. And on the North American tectonic plate is an area called the craton. And then above the craton would be our ground and buildings and so forth. Now, BP is and Dutchsinse and other sources are also saying that this 5.4 earthquake in Texas is an indicator that the craton is moving, which would affect the New Madrid seismic zone in this area, and then come down and affect the Costco's plate, which would then affect in California the San Andreas. That's according to, and Mike from around the world put that information out a few months ago also. So that's going on with earth changes, and now we have some other earth changes that Mike from around the world is bringing with the earth tilt and rotate. Now, Mike is saying the earth is slowing down, and suspicious observers say it's speeding up. So we'll have to see I think it's good to remember God is in charge. I love you, and I'll see you soon.